All right, hi everyone. I was just sketching out and I was going to throw something down on watercolor. A lot of times when I start, I just start something really loose and rough, and I just grab a piece of cheap paper to figure out what I want to do, and then I'll sort of come back into it. And for me, there's not a wrong drawing; it's a way of uh, finding what I want or playing with shapes. Okay. Was really messing with this upper jaw to this lower jaw. And I really like this sketch here that I was doing. Um, and then here I was wanting to mess with it too. I was wanting to pull this up. This is why it's just exploratory. It's just having fun. Just trying to get in there and figure out what shapes are working, what's not. And this is just a piece of junk paper that I had, and I was just looking at it thinking, how could I push certain shapes? I'm imagining maybe the eyes are tucked up here, like so. And if I get unsure about something, I'll just rough it in differently. I'll give myself a couple of guidelines, like just a rough. Maybe a heavy set alligator with like a big back row of weight and then head ball, and then underbite. So the nostrils are, this underbite comes like this, and then maybe about here. Or his nostrils. About like that. Just pushes the shape a little bit. Create some nice movement around that edge, that corner, like that. So what I did while I was sketching these, it also did that. I started with that same shape, which if you look, I just sort of went over and got this shape here. If you see it, I was mimicking that and started pulling off of that. So I'm still, I like searching like this because it allows me to get some other weight. And I just noticed, I don't know how I did this. I got brown all over my paper here. That's okay. We're gonna hit it with a watercolor, so it doesn't matter. So now I'm gonna go back in, keep messing with this one. But now I like this guy here because maybe I'll do twins. See, I love that underbite there and the way that nose comes up, the way the head's here. And this, just I like this nice round shape to another shape. See, it continues through. There's fluidity in there to another shape back there, and how that all sort of wraps around. That's really interesting to me. This one wasn't quite coming together as well as I thought. He looks a little bit more goofy. I do like this, the extension of that. So, and then that's the other one that I was doing there. So that's it, guides me a little bit and gets me to about right here. So now that that's done, let me come over and let's sketch. I don't know how I got that big mark in there. Get rid of it. That's okay. Maybe I'll add something else in there. That looks pretty good. All right. So now on this guy, because of that rough sketch here, I'm like that double back bump there. So I'm thinking about coming in, incorporating this movement into here with that double back. So it comes there, and then I get that double back feel. It gives them a certain weight that I like, and then maybe the back of the body then hits here and comes back down this way. Like that. So he's coming down to the ground a little bit more. I like this feel of teeth hanging down and teeth coming up. So I got that coming out pretty good. And then I am tempted to maybe nudge this in a little bit more, bring that line in, that little weighted line, and maybe accentuate the top. So I'm just like pushing little curves like this. And then like that. I'm going to look at that and see if I like that a little bit better. And I do like that. And then that makes me want to push up the tangency of this right here, right up pretty close to there. Create a little bit of a tight feel there. That's pretty good. And then I like this idea that he has some teeth coming down and some teeth going up. So maybe here, this part should feel like there's overhang over the bottom. So if there's overhang, it's going to have downward teeth here, here, but then here, I'll have upward teeth. Like that. I think that does a lot. It's fun to move some of the shape in there. It's really squashing and stretching. Some movement in there. I like that bump. Back to this. Weight coming down. And then maybe a little bit of a chin line. And maybe he's got like, I don't know, maybe he's been eating swamp critters and there's like something hanging here. You know, like he's a gator. He's living out in the forest and everything. the swamp and taking stuff in. Then I'm thinking on this guy, I'm just going to hit a little bit of maybe there's so many different things you can do with eyes. So like, for example, here, I can have an eye center line there. I can have an eye land in here under a brow like that. And then I can have the other eye bumping on the other side, or we can erase that and I can get in here and have double eyes. Like there's a center line going down that skull and we see an eye set in here and an eye set here like that, which would be fun. Like that. So it changes the look and feel. Eyes are, God, they're so fun because there's so many different things you can change on them. And sometimes getting the right eye in really makes the character. So anyway, for me, someone was asking me this in class. Do you do the face first? What do you do? I do a little bit of everything. It depends on the subject matter I'm getting into. You know, I try to find out what's working for me, what's not working for me, and just like the weight of it. So this guy's going to be sitting down. Maybe he's reading a book on how to eat or something. So I'm imagining down here, he's got a large belly shape. He's a big guy. He's got heavy. So I'm imagining is like the weight of that belly is like here and just sort of comes forward and then lands like that. Like it just feels like it's heavy. And that does a lot to me too for the shape. I have noticed, I'll do a couple more of these later. I'm also drawing a little tighter with this pencil. This is, you know, a standard Coley Race blue, and it has a really great drag on tracing paper and on normal, this is watercolor paper and another paper, but I like this feel. And what I was doing here, it's a very loose feel. It's a crayon pencil like this. So if you take a look at that, it's this stick of like crayon, but it's a wax crayon. It's pretty cool. And it's very fun. It's a very blunt tip, so it allows you to get very loose lines. There's a certain energy that I get out of that that then helps me translate to something else that I'm doing like in here, you know. So imagining like his belly is so big. So let's get to the leg here. He's gonna have a leg conjoining in about here. I need to really get that shape of how it attaches to that. Then I need to figure out the length of that leg, because if I make it too not long enough, I might not see it on the other side. So I definitely want to be able to see at least a foot like this on the other side for like scale purposes, like that. And maybe I'll just come in here and I'll cheat. Maybe he's got a long nail. In there like that. And then if I come back here, so trying to avoid circles and trying to push the stretch, you know, of like having this contorted and pushed a little bit more like this. Because to me, that feels like a little bit more visual weight. Maybe he's got like a little bit of a kneecap here, because then his other leg would be like over here if you draw through the other side. So that'd be their kneecap about there. So that feels like a good follow through to me. So I just keep it really loose. And let me figure out, maybe he's got a little, comes down into here. Like that. And he's got a foot coming forward, and maybe he's got like really heavy set arms, but they're stubbies. So they're like the ones here. See, that interferes a little bit with that body, that neck curve. So I got to bring that neck curve up a little bit and try to get that in there. Might pitch his leg a little bit more. Center line should be coming down there. So maybe he's the belly shaped like there. Trying to get some different tapered shapes. Going in there. It look a little, I think I need to go thinner to thicker on that. So if that's tapered, and thicker. That needs to curve up in there. I'll get to eyes in a minute. I think I pushed those hands a little bit too. Could have made the arms a little bit smaller. Part of me wants to scale them. That's okay for right now. Maybe he's got just little stubbed fingers. Yeah, I'm gonna give him an opposable thumb, I guess. That's okay. So it looks like a thumb pointing up. Maybe do you like it being in threes like that? Okay. All right, and then let's continue. And the tail. I think the tail's huge because it's a great shape, and you have to determine. Let me grab another piece of sketch paper because I was going to point this out to you because I was just talking to a student about this. 1 second. I'm keeping sheet paper around so you can problem solve with it. So when we get down to this tail here, if you notice, I have the body line that comes down like this, right? We're gonna have to make a decision. If technically, if you look at him as a round massing shape like this with a center line going around him, then this has to curve, and then the tail is basically in this shape like this, going back like that, right? And then that's like a cylinder. So basically, we have to follow that line. The tail curves, points towards, and goes backwards, if that makes sense. And then after that, maybe he's so heavy though, maybe the tail starts to come like this and then curve back around like that towards us. So it'd be sort of like this heavy weighted, it's like a piece of Play-Doh. It'd be here, and then comes up to like there. Oops. Missing my line. That's what I meant to get, was like there. So it's like sort of going away, then coming to just an idea. Or looking at this, I was also thinking, what if it's sort of tucked in a little bit? And then we could sense it coming a little bit more towards us like that. So that line there has to curve over. And then it gets foreshortened as it's turning, sort of like this. Like that, which could, like, he's heavy, so maybe he's got a roll of weight, of excess weight there, and then that overlaps that and comes back into that, right? So I like that. I don't like this line down there. I think that needs to have more curve to really feel like there's weight, almost like thickness, like a potato sack or pancake batter filled with hefty, hefty bag filled with pancake batter. So that, to me, that's the benefit of having a little piece of paper like that. I can resolve what looks better quickly, and I could come over and look at a design and figure out, should this line here, it's not going to be straight. It's going to come down to the body. Boom. Maybe there is a roll here. And then we see it wrapping. And we see the weight of that. Then we feel like this. And remember, gators too have a squared off top. So they have this thing that goes like this, and it's going to go here. It's going to start to turn like that, go over, because the staggered spikes on the back. So what I mean by that is you're going to have a spike like here, then here, and the other one will be here like that. See that? And then you'll see, if you draw through that, like if it was a Maya model, that other spike might be about here in the back. And now it's turning that shape. So then we get to here, we get a spike there and there, and then we come here. I like that meat bump in there, like there. And then the way this comes in, goes over to that, goes over to that, to that, and then maybe they thin out a little bit more as they get to the tip. Maybe a couple get longer and they point a little. So do you see that? What I'm really trying to push here is that visual weight of, you go up and over and down. That's the cross section. And to me, that has a lot more weight in it and makes it look a little bit real. So then, again, I problem solve that on a piece of paper. So if I really like it, I could just come back and look at it and get it in there, draw it. I sort of like that, but I also want the tail to be a little bit more tapered in there. Let me come back and look at this guy again. So sometimes I'll sketch something. So this doesn't feel right because it's turning too much into me. So that shape can't really work as well. Excuse me, I got some on my eye. There we go. That line can't work. The line has to come down here and wrap more like this. I think I'm gonna have to change this construction there. I don't like it where it's turning so much. So I might curve that down, bring that into here, and find a way to maybe get a little bit of a bend line. And then there's the weight of this tail going back this way, which we're going to change that one then. And hold on, so that's the shape. Yeah, see, and then it's got a little bit more weight to it, like that. Just an idea. I don't like the way I drew the pattern, but just problem solve it and find out which one's working. And then what I'll do is take that off and come back in here and figure out that, looking at that tail I just sketched. Okay, and I like the weight of it. I also like this. You feel the follow through of the belly. So if that belly comes here, see that line of action brings you back out to that tail height, which I like quite a bit. So I'm going to come over here and accentuate this bump in the leg, because I just figured that out on the paper, right? So I'm going to accentuate that. And then this feels like, I still want to get that weighted roll in the back, but let's deal with the shape first. I'm going to get this coming out here. And then I'm going to bring his tail back to here. And then I'm already going to feel the turn. So I get some fluidity and movement in there. There's part of that turn. And then what I did is I had it drop off almost like a little roller coaster. and then hit to here and to here. Let me draw that stuff in there. There, like that. And I like that idea of the tail being long and sort of thick and thin a little bit. So hold on a minute. Let me fix that real quick in the sketch here. So let me try to get it. I need to take that. Oh, I like that line, but that's the line coming in for the. This will be shorter. Those are the double sets of spikes that's going to go that way. And then you can't see it, that line. Maybe you see a little bit of that line like this. Just barely coming off of there. Okay. And I'll show you what I mean. I know it sounds, see, this is then a large segment here. And then maybe a smaller segment to a smaller. See, I lost that movement. I had it in the initial sketch. There to there, like to there. They're large. Yeah, like that. Feels good. Whenever you get hung up on something like that, just get sketchy with the pencil. Get lots of lines, and that weight, just think of the weight showing, and the weight will show itself. If that makes sense. You just got to get loose. You know, you're not sitting with a pencil. I always notice that where like some students are just like straight line, like super hard. No, keep it loose, dude. Keep it fun, energetic. So that's cool. So now I can come in here and imagine this is what I was doing a minute ago with that, with the spikes. Oh, sorry. I don't know what I did there. I went the wrong direction. It's 10 o'clock at night here, so I'm a little tired. I'm a little beat up, so bear with me. I meant to do this stuff earlier, but then the other one might be about there. And then this one, see, you get that crossover there, so you can feel the weight going. So now this one, that spike might be about there. And then we'll have a spike here. There, you see that it has that weight. The only thing I need to do is we're sort of looking down on this. So I need to make it look like it's foreshortened a little bit, like we're like this type of feel. And that one turns a little bit more. There, that's good. Now I want to push that little fat roll. I got it in my sketch before. I'm looking back at it. Yeah, had a little bit of roll there with like line. They're not matching up. I need to get the lines to sync right. It's got to be here, there. Yeah, it feels better to me. I like that movement. Okay, so then that's the far side spike, right? If you can see it. This is the one that starts to get foreshortened here a little bit. And I don't like that shape I did there. Change it. That bump, I want the other one to be smaller like this, higher up. So it's like large, medium, small, large, and then maybe a medium one, smaller. in there. Then the next spike is, let's say it's here. That fat roll idea isn't as working as good as I want it to, so I'm just going to bring it here all the way down. And the spike's a little bit bigger. Like that. So they go from larger to smaller, winding up to the back of them, like so. All right, now I'm going to dump that line. And if this was a little bit of a pinch there, then this back of the leg should also be a fat roll, sort of in here. Or like the tail connects a little bit less. I'm not getting the line I want. That's the main line. That and then a little bump into that. Yeah, that feels better to me. Yeah, like that. Okay. Cool. We got some weight on them. Like the movement up here in the face. And then pretty good. All right. Let me get that other foot penciled in a little bit more. So to make it a little different, sometimes I like pushing one nail a little bit longer. This is what I mean. If one a little bit longer, it just adds a little nice little feature. You know, it's like they're not all uniform, they're not all the same. So I'm thinking the like his index finger of a nail will be the longer one, and then we'll go shorter. Okay. All right, that's looking good. Maybe we'll get another spike or two. I was thinking for eyes, because he looks sort of goofy, the eyes will be set up here in the head, like this. Because I like this idea of there being a patch of color. It'll come into that, see, and it acts as a center line that goes down, and that'll allow me to get multiple spikes in there. So he has curvy shapes. We don't want any pointing. We want something that maybe comes up and rounds up, rounds a little bit in there like that. There we go. I like that quite a bit. Comes back here, and maybe he's got a little nubby, and then he goes to a larger one. Then maybe he goes a nub again. And a medium one. Then the large one. That way it divides up the shapes just a little bit more. Okay. For the eyes, let's always do VeggieTale eyes because it's learned a lot from working with VeggieTale artists. So we want to wrap that lid above the eye. So that way we can, if he's animated in 3D, you can see what I'm talking about here, you guys, is this. On your eyes, show the line from the lower, because then if it's modeled into 3D, this can go up and down, and then you can sometimes get a lower one in there like this. So then see how the bulb of the eye is round. and the eye fits in there, and it's really, really nice to have that eye in there like that. See that? And it makes it feel way more three-dimensional. And then you also feel this bump to here, to there, and up and around, and that makes it work a little bit, quite a bit nicer. Okay, so I'm going to try to get that in there a little bit more. And I leave a little highlight on there. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that coming together there. Let me get this other guy here. That's okay. It's a little rough, a little dark. It's okay. Let me knock it down a little bit. I'm going to go over this with pen in a little bit. And okay. Let me see here. What's he doing? Arm. Draw through arms here. Let's say he's holding something. I don't know. What if he's holding a big gulp? Let's say. So let me get that arm in here. So maybe we see him here. Might be stretching his hands just a little bit. Let me pull that back a little bit more. About there. There, that's that shape. Slightly moving away from us. I'm going to get his little thick paws coming on there. So maybe he's got one finger wrapping about there, like this. Maybe did that a little too large to be a little smaller. Maybe the other one's coming in about here. The other one's about there. And we can see his hand coming back here. He's got a Slurpee, maybe. Maybe like that. And I don't like that tangency in there. Let me think about that. Maybe it just comes up for a minute. Maybe it's all bent up. Right. And well, I was thinking if you had a funny, let me look at a piece of reference real quick. What if you had a funny hat on? Let me get an idea here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a liberty here and try to sketch a hat on him, but the hat might look like it's coming off a little, like it's leaning on the back of his head. I might regret this because it could be a little bit of a tangency in here with those spikes. Let me see if I can get it the way I might want it. Nah, yeah, it's not going to work. Hold on. I already know what I'm doing wrong. Get rid of that. I knew that better than that. Just tired. It's too large. And then when that flaps up, that goes to the other side. Let it drop behind that other. So I need to overlap it a little bit more. Like that. Needs to be behind that spike. That needs to be in front of it. That was the center. That spike needs to be in front. They tend to go straight back. I'm making it too round. There we go. like out in the middle of Missouri. Or with my buddy Dave in Texas. A little cowboy hat on. I don't know if that's working or not, but what the heck? We'll just throw it on there with something different. Trying to make it look like it's resting off the back here, which means maybe there's a little bit of a dark spot underneath. So I do need to show if this comes back here and ends underneath part of the hat, maybe a little bit there. That, and then we see the front. And this needs, that's too high. That looks a little rickety looking. Old hat. Look at it tomorrow. I'll look at it tomorrow, excuse me, and then be like, oh, it's horrible. I hate it. That's okay. Be good for now. We got that. Maybe he's eating something. Trying to think what else I want to put on him. That'd be a nice little pattern area there. Going up. Coming off here, off his neck. Textures, goodies coming in there. There you go, like that. Sketching pretty cool. I realized that hand is way smaller than that hand. So let me try to nudge and shoot that. I made it really too big here. That makes it a little bit smaller, I think. Let me just nudge that other finger in there, my bad. There we go, a little bit smaller, sort of that size. A little bit of a tangency there, that's okay. All right, what else? I got my guy, I got the tail working there a little bit. Texture patterns there. There's some other different patterns coming off the arms here. A little bit more texture coming off the belly. I feel like you should have Big Mac or something next to him, but you figure out what else to put in there. I think that's good. I could go in and start cleaning them up a little bit. Want to have some texture up in that face too. I need to figure out what pattern patterns to put in there.